If you had invested 10 lakh rupees 10 years ago, today you would have received 35 lakh rupees. That is 13.5% returns. And if you had done SIP of just 5,000 rupees per month for 10 years, that is 6 lakh rupees, today you would be receiving 14.34 lakhs. That is 16.61% compounded returns. No, this is not the best mutual fund. No, this is not even an average mutual fund. These are returns from the worst mid-cap mutual fund. Now, the worst mutual fund, the worst mid-cap fund has given you this return. There is no other product comparable to mutual funds, which means even the worst mutual fund has given you good returns. So, did you invest in the last 10 years in mutual funds? If you did not, and even if you had made a mistake 10 years ago, chose the wrong mutual fund, you would still have made the right decision of investing in a mutual fund. And that's what we're going to see today, all about the worst mutual funds. What are their returns? And what does that mean to you and me who are investing in mutual funds? Hi, I am Franky Fernandes. I'm a certified financial planner. I help young families manage their finances, manage their money, and also their relationships. For me, what is important is that not just money, but both. Both money and marriage are important for all of us. And that's what I teach. If you're new to my channel, I encourage you to subscribe. I know many of you are watching, but you are not subscribed. So I encourage you to subscribe and share your comments. So let's quickly get into today's video. So what is the agenda of today's video? It's a short video. Try to stay till the end. There is a message for you in the end. So what we're going to look at is three categories of mutual funds: large cap, mid cap, and large and mid cap. These are the three categories we will look at: lump sum investments and SIP investments. And we'll look at 5 years, 10 years, 15 and 20 years category, 20 years returns. Although we will focus on the 10-year, but these are the returns we will see. And we will look at what are the worst mutual funds, which are the funds, what are the returns from the worst mutual funds. And that's what we will look at. And finally, we look at what do we learn from this. So here, let's take a look at the large cap funds, okay, which the long-term large cap funds. We started with 10 years, so let's take a look at 10 years. So a Taurus, which is the worst performing mutual fund, has given 9.12, and that same fund in the last 5 years has given 18.51, which is probably the worst fund if you look at it. Not among the best fund here. There are funds which have given lower, but they have done better over a longer period. So if you look at it, Taurus, for the 10-year category, it is the lowest. Now in the 15-year category, also it is the lowest. And in the 20-year category, we have JM Mutual Fund, which is the lowest. Now let's take a look at these funds. What if you had invested 10 years ago in Taurus Mutual Fund? Your 10 lakh rupees would have become 23 lakh rupees, which is almost 2.5 times. If you had invested 15 years ago, it would be 38 lakhs. And if you had invested 20 years back, it would be 75 lakh. What if you had invested in the worst mutual fund, 10.26 JM? It would still give you 70 lakhs. So if you look at the large cap category, even the worst mutual funds have given great returns. I'm not even looking at the best mutual fund because the objective of this video is not the best mutual fund. It is the worst mutual fund. And I just want to show you even the large cap worst mutual fund has given better returns than many of the products you have in the market. Let's take a look at large mid cap. What if you'd invested 10 years ago? It is the returns, the worst mutual fund is 11.48. So if you'd invested 10 lakhs 10 years ago, you would have got around 30 lakhs, 3 times the amount in 10 years from the worst mutual fund. What if you'd invested in 15 years ago in the worst mutual fund, which is Bank of India? how much you would receive? 11.38 compounded return. You would have got 50 lakh rupees. And what if it was the 20-year worst mutual fund? Your 10 lakhs would have become 1.23 crores, 1.24 crores. So the worst large and mid cap category has given this return. Now let's take a look at the mid cap category. 10 years, 13.5%. Your 10 lakh would become 35 lakh from the worst mutual fund. 15-year category, 14.08. Your 10 lakh would become 72 lakhs in 10 years. Sorry, 15 years. Your In 15 years, your 10 lakhs would become 72 lakhs, 7 times the amount. And what about 20 years? If you had invested in this fund 20 years ago, Aditya Birla Sun Life Mid Cap Mutual Fund, you would have got 2.16 crore from the worst mutual fund. When I say worst, I don't mean to say it as negative. Even then, the returns are great. So our perception is which is the best fund, which is the worst fund. But if you see here, even the worst mutual fund has given a great returns. Yes, there are funds which have given much better returns. Now what we'll do is we'll take a look at. So now that we have seen the lump sum, and I'm sure your eyes would have popped up thinking, what are the numbers? The worst mutual funds also have given great returns when you had invested lump sum. So now let's take a look at SIP. What if you had done SIP the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years? So let's take a look at your SIP. Okay. What if you had done an SIP of 5,000 rupees 10 years ago? What would have happened? You would have invested 6 lakh rupees. That is 5,000 for 12 months into 10 years. What it would have become? In the worst mutual fund, it would have become 11 lakh 33. You would have got 5.5 lakh almost extra because the lowest mutual fund, the worst performing mutual fund has given 12.22%. What if you had invested 15 years ago and that would be 9 lakhs? It would be from the 15 year ago from the worst mutual fund, 11.36%. You would have got in a large cap fund, you would have got 27 lakh 30,000, which is 18 lakhs extra. And what if you had done 5,000 20 years ago? Somebody who's working, who's experienced 20 years, it would have been 37 lakhs, 25 lakhs extra. And against that, what if you'd done a PPF? A PPF for 10 years would have given you 8 lakh 82, whereas a mutual fund has given 11 lakh 33. Of course, here you have to pay some tax, but this is without tax. But even if you pay a tax, 5 lakh 33, 1 lakh 25 is exempted. So assuming on the 4 lakhs, you have to pay 12.5%, which is roughly 50,000. So you're paying 50,000 tax only. So almost 5 lakhs you get extra. Let's take a look at large and mid cap. SIP of 5,000 in a large and mid cap fund, 6 lakh would have become 12.5 lakh. You would have got more than double. So let's take a look at the large and mid cap category. What if you'd invested, what you've done SIPs of 5,000 per month for 10 years? That is investing 6 lakh rupees. You would have got 12 lakh 5,000, which is almost double. In that same period, you would have got 8 lakh 82 from a PPF, roughly. What if you had invested for 10, 15 years? You would have got 27 lakhs from the worst mutual fund, which is 18.63 lakhs additional. And what if you had invested in for 20 years, 12 lakhs, or you would have got 53 lakhs, 27,000, 41 lakhs additional because the worst mutual fund has given 13.21% returns. Now let's take a look at the mid cap category. So in the mid cap category, what if you had done a 5,000 rupees SIP 10 years back? Your 6 lakh would have become 14 lakh 33,000 from the worst mutual fund. You would have got almost 8.5 lakh additional because the worst mutual fund has given 16.61% returns. And in the same period, If you've done a PPF, you would have got probably around 8 to 9 lakh rupees. That's it. What if you had done a 15-year SIP? You would have got 35 lakhs almost. That is 26 lakhs additional, because the worst performing mutual fund in the mid cap category in 15 years is 16.44. And what if you had done a 20-year? You would have got 65 lakhs from the worst mutual fund. You would have got 53 lakhs additional, because the worst mutual fund has given 14.88%. Now, again, I want to emphasize here, by worst, I don't mean to say negative. I just want to emphasize that even the funds which are worst at that point in time have given great returns. And a worst mutual fund need not remain the worst forever. They keep changing, they keep rotating. I want to ask you a honest question. I want an honest response from you. Do you feel you have missed? Yes. If you have never invested in mutual funds, you have missed a lot, especially the equity mutual funds. And what does this all teach us? I have these four learnings which I want to share with you. If you think there are more things to share, you can let me know. But let's see, what are the four things? The first thing is that even if you didn't know a thing about mutual funds and you made the mistake of investing in the worst mutual fund, you would still be better off than many in this country by investing in mutual funds, even if you didn't know. So there is really, you should not have any fear of investing in mutual funds, because it's proven in the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years that stock markets and mutual funds give you real returns which will beat inflation. What is the number two I learned? Assuming you knew about mutual funds and you were regular in investing in mutual fund, and if you made the mistake of picking the wrong fund, but you were sincere and faithful in doing your SIPs every month, and whenever you got your bonus, to the lump sum regularly, you would have grown your wealth through mutual funds. You would have grown your wealth through mutual funds. Just being disciplined of investing every month or investing in lump sum. I knew about mutual funds, but still I made this mistake. I did not invest regularly. And the number three is, discipline and consistently investing is more important than picking the right funds or timing the market. And most of my life, until I was 40, I was doing this. I worked in the mutual fund industry since 1993, when there were closed-end funds, then there were open-ended funds, and I've seen everything, I knew everything, but I was trying to time the market, and I was not regular and disciplined. And I would have lost a few crores just because I didn't do this. And finally, I want you to make a note of this. If you're a young couple, it requires huge efforts and time to pick the right funds, do the research, keep reallocating, read up, etc., etc. But when you invest in mutual funds, you actually can relax that in the end, after 10, 15, 20 years, the money has grown. You don't have to put so much of effort. In fact, the best thing would be to give it to a financial advisor and say, you do it. Because a financial advisor would pick the right funds, would actually reallocate for a little commission. But you can relax. You don't have to research. You don't have to go after the best funds, because you don't need the best funds. In fact, in a separate video, I will talk about how the best funds can become worst and the worst funds can become the best funds in subsequent years. So chasing after returns and best funds is of no use. It's futile. But this analysis has yet again proved that investing in mutual funds is profitable. And even if you invest in the worst funds, you will still make wealth, lots of wealth. And let's take it. Let's accept it. The probability of getting the worst funds all the time, all the 10, 15, 20 years of your life is impossible, because you will first choose a good fund, and then you will keep checking it, maybe 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It is of no use changing your fund every year, 2 years, because you want to pay capital gains. So there's no point. So you will end up possibly having an average fund or sometimes the best fund. So you will make returns. There is no chance of losing, even if you had invested in the worst. I hope this has helped you. It's a bulb on moment for you. And if you have not invested in mutual funds, invest. And don't worry about it's the best mutual fund or the worst. It doesn't matter really. As long as you are faithful, as long as you're sincere and investing every month into mutual funds for long term, you will make money. If you have liked this analysis, let me know with a thumbs up. If you haven't, if you think this was not adequate, let me know with a thumbs down and let me know in the comment box. What was your biggest learning in this? Do you regret for not investing in mutual funds? Or do you think you've spent too much of time and effort in selecting the best mutual fund? Yes, there's definitely a merit in picking the best funds. We must give credit to the best fund managers. But here the lesson is even if the fund manager has not been able to perform well, mutual funds are such a such a asset class or such a type of investments that you don't tend to lose. You can lose in direct stocks if you pick the wrong stock, but you can never lose in a mutual fund. If you've not subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe. And thank you for listening to this video till the end. All the best. See you soon.